this presentation. And I am looking at all the different aspects that a traceability system has to comprise of. But for the purpose of this presentation, I'm mainly going to focus on the disease controlling, what the traceability systems can do in terms of disease control and what happens in terms of disease outbreak. So my introduction is why Namibia? Why disease outbreaks and why now? Well, first of all, Namibia is a neighboring country of us, so it's quite easy and accessible for me. I don't need a visa. There has been numerous disease outbreaks over the past year, so it's a very relevant topic. And in Namibia, the traceability system was being introduced in 2005. But in 2012, they extended the traceability system to also include the northern parts of Namibia, where you find most of your communal areas. And those areas also pose unique challenges in terms of disease outbreaks. How is the study unfolding? I'm still busy with my data collection in terms of questionnaires in Namibia. I hope to finalize that in the end of this year. And what is of interest? Why do I do? Well, I just want to basically show the world that it's very important to look at meat, safe and secure meat. It's very relevant for today's topic. So for my next slide, I'd like you to show you a little video. But what I'd like you to do is I will show you a world map. And I just want you to just have a quick look at Africa specifically where the world map appears. So let's go.
Infection from this disease always leads to death, and there is no cure. Today's topic was produced due to high demand by our subscribers. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, be sure to write your suggestions below. Mad cow disease, or bovine spongiform encephalopathy, is a disease that affects a cow's nervous system by putting holes in its brain, causing it to become spongy and start wasting away. The disease can also affect other tissues throughout the cow's body as well as its blood, making it easily transferable to humans. When it's transmitted to humans, it's known as Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. The mad cow disease outbreak began in the United Kingdom, causing an international epidemic of the Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. As you can see here from the dark green areas, humans were infected throughout the UK and mainland Europe, as well as all of North America and some countries in the East. The light green areas show countries in which only the cows were infected without affecting any humans. Humans infected by mad cow disease meat begin experiencing symptoms of dementia, memory loss, and hallucinations, followed by speech impairment, jerky movements, and seizures. Post-mortem observations of victims' brains have shown tiny holes in areas where their nerve cells have died. Death is progressive and eventually happens in about 6 months. There is no cure. Some patients have been known to live for about 4 to 5 years after infection, although their symptoms progress as they get closer to inevitable death. Governments have taken measures to prevent transmission from cattle to humans by killing millions of high-risk cows in an attempt to get rid of the disease. Also, the USDA now requires certain cow parts to be removed from high-risk cattle that show any signs of neurological problems to prevent them from entering the US food supply. Now, what do you think is worse and why? Being stung by a scorpion or being stung by a Brazilian wandering spider?
Thank you. I just want to give a little bit more background on mad cow disease. It was first identified in 1986, and it came originally from sheep that had it for almost 200 years. And in the 90s, England denied that you can transfer the disease to humans. They actually said there's no link between mad cow disease and any fatalities in humans. And only in the early 2000s they rectified the mistake. Now what happened is there was almost 180,000 cattle infected with mad cow disease, and England went about and killed almost the entire herd. So England has got a beef shortage. There were cases also in America, Canada, and all over the UK where people died from Creutzfeldt-Jakob. So it was a very bad experience, and people often questioned is meat safe after that epidemic. What I wanted to share with you in terms of Africa was there was no outbreak of BSE or mad cow disease ever in Africa, which makes it an ideal exporter producer of meat seeing that it is not safe. It is not as unsafe as you look at things like mad cow disease. So what happened is the government started taking precautions. They said, we now need to know where our meat is coming from. We now want to make sure that when we supply our customers or our citizens with meat, that we present them with safe and secure meat. So in December 2004, there was only one single case of BSE reported in America, and it led to export losses of over $2.6 billion. So, like I said, there's a direct link between Creutzfeldt-Jakobs and mad cow disease. So what do I want to do with the study? First of all, you have to make sure that you have food security. And in terms of that, it says that all people at all times must have sufficient, safe and nutritious food. So to do that, you have to make sure that there's enough for everyone. And issues that hamper this will be food security, like climate changes, the global warming, and sustainability. So that will be issues that we have to take into account when we look at food security. But what we also need to make sure of is that food is safe. So in terms of its handling, preparation and storage, we must make sure that the meat that we eat is actually safe. And we have to follow a number of routines in order for us to make sure that it is safe. So food scandals really lower consumer confidence in meat products. We had a food scandal in 2013 where beef and donkey meat were passed off as where donkey meat was passed off as beef. And now we ask the question, the world wants safe meat, the world wants secure meat, the world wants enough meat, but how can traceability ensure food safety? And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how the traceability system of a country such as Namibia uses traceability and goes about to ensure that food safety. So this is Namibia's beef supply chain. And you can see it comprises of mainly three sections: the supply sector, the processing sector, and the demand sector. I added the arrow at the top for sustainability because I also want to look at the sustainability of such projects. But what I want you to see is in every one of those three sectors, you will find legislation. So people can't just do what they want when they want to do it in a traceability system. When there's a beef supply chain, everything is governed and it's according to specific standards. Now, what is traceability? Traceability is a way of tracking and tracing meat. If you look at the picture, you'll see tracking goes forward and tracing goes backwards. So with tracking, you can see from the primary producer up to the consumer where the meat ended up. But with tracing, if I buy a piece of meat in a store and it's got a tag on, I can go back and say this piece of meat was coming from that region, from that cow that was born there, that was immunized there, that was at a feedlot there, that was slaughtered there, and this is the part of meat that was exported where I'm currently eating. So it's on an individual cow level. It's not on a group, it's an individual. So in terms of that, you have to have a very strong database to make sure that you can capture all those details regarding that animal. So traceability worldwide, there was an outbreak of BSE in Japan, and they introduced a very successful traceability system in 2001. And another country was Canada. They introduced traceability also in 2001. But in 2003, they had another outbreak of BSE, and the system proved insufficient. They couldn't trace back where the meat came from. Okay, so this is where I'm working at. You see my country, South Africa, is just down below. I live there somewhere in Johannesburg, and Namibia is to the northwest of us. I'll show you a picture of how it's divided, but it's mostly desert, so it's a very sparsely populated country. It says that Namibia has got 825,000 square kilometers of land, but so in average it's about 8.6 times the size of this country. So it's quite big. It's not the biggest in the world, but it is quite big. And Namibia is the second least dense populated country in the world, with 2.1 million inhabitants, and that calculates to 2.5 inhabitants per square kilometer. And if you look at Singapore, for example, where they sit with 7,301 people per square kilometer. So if you look at how densely populated Singapore is, Namibia is the complete opposite. So the Namib Desert, which is the oldest desert in the world, consumes about 81,000 square kilometers of Namibia, leaving Namibia to be a very water-scarce country. It's got a stable multi-party parliamentary democracy, and what's also nice to know is that in 2014 they had the first general election, which was done completely electronically, and Africa got it right. Half the population live in international poverty, so it's quite it's a poor country, and exporting of beef can really boost the economy. And also, what you have to keep in mind with any African country is that HIV will always remain a key issue. Now, this is the tag, the label that you will find on a piece of meat being exported from Namibia. So, if you have a scanner and you scan that barcode, you will find the entire history of that animal from where it was born up to where it was slaughtered. And also, if you export meat, you are not allowed to export bone. You are only allowed to export the meat. It has to be deboned before it can be exported. So it will say it's a silver side large, slaughtered in Namibia, cutting in Namibia, the date was packed, and like the trace of that label will tell you everything that you need to know. So Namibia has got 3 international export abattoirs. It's in Windhoek, Bidvlei and Okahanya, and they export mostly to Norway and the European Union. And currently they export about 1,600 tons of beef per year. So it's quite a big industry for them, and they're sure to grow. Now, in terms of legislation, quickly, just some of the legislation in terms of NAMLITs. Now, let me just say, NAMLIT is the Namibian Livestock Identification and Traceability System. So it's short for NAMLITs, and they govern everything. Everything that you do in the system is somehow regulated. And you've got the Stock Brands Act, exactly how the cattle have to be branded, and you've got some other regulations in terms of the legislation. Now here's a picture of Namibia showing the 2 different regions. They are separated by something called the red line, or the veterinary cordon fence. Now previously, before 2012, no areas above that red line was allowed to export any kind of beef anywhere in the world. So it was only the part at the bottom, and if you think that part is an 81,000 square kilometer desert. So the top parts there have lush green fields, it rains, it's not desert. So more than half of the beef population, 51% of all the cattle found in Namibia is situated in the northern communal areas. So you can see now the fact that they weren't able to export was really a problem, because Namibia can make a lot more money with being able to export. So they started tagging the northern communal areas, the cattle, with ear tags. Now Namibia works with a double ear tag system. You've got the normal ear tag in the left ear and an RFID chip ear tag in the right ear. So they are all now tagged, and what happened previously, why the above the red line was so dangerous, it borders Angola, Zambia, and Botswana. Now, what can happen is buffalo spread foot and mouth disease, and that's basically the main challenge in terms of the northern communal areas: the risk of being exposed to an outbreak of foot and mouth disease. So, what they said is, let's create certain areas above the red line so that we can quarantine a specific area if it is needed. So we're no longer going to say if a buffalo walks in the Caprivi zone, which is the red zone, and just walks over, they used to quarantine the entire northern cordon fence. But now they're saying, let's quarantine only that specific area. So we've got areas, and we also have different colored ear tags to show which areas are dangerous and which ones are not as dangerous. So they are now able to go and quarantine a specific area and no longer quarantine everything, and you can find in which area you buy the cattle. So they now open up a whole new economy for the northern communal areas. So 51% of all Namibian cattle are found in the northern communal areas, and that was originally started NAMLIT's second phase in 2010, but it was mostly 2012 where all the cattle was finished being ear tagged. Everything is captured on the NAMLIT's database. It's very beneficial to have an RFID tag because you've got an RFID reader, and therefore you can immediately capture all the information via the ear tag onto the database. You don't have to capture everything manually. Not all the northern communal areas have access to RFID readers, but they do have people capturing the data. And it contains all the animal details, every specific. Okay, so the northern communal areas have got a certain way of branding the animals. It's not standard for communal and commercial farms, it differs. But basically it must be linear, it must be a combination of two area indicating symbol and numerals, and maximum of 3 characters per line. So you'll see that's typical northern communal area branding. You see the ear tag, that is an ear tag from cattle at the bottom, not in the top part, it's yellow. So you will see green and orange and other ear tags as you go further north. It shows the Namibian country and it gives some information about where the animal is found. There's an RFID reader, that is what they use in the crush pens, and they just scan the animals with that reader. And on the right is someone busy branding an animal. You see the smoke coming out, it's quite cool. So what do they do? How does NAMLITS help in controlling diseases? First of all, if there's an outbreak of foot and mouth disease, they try and they determine where it happened. What was the focal point, the area where it was mostly found? And then they go back, they say, with the help of Google Maps, we can see where this animal was being exposed to other animals. So we can trace it back and see where they shared common water, or where they shared common food areas, and trace it forward to see how far it spread from there. So they immediately go and quarantine the focal point. They also immediately trace back and forward with Google Maps, and they can say how far they have to go and quarantine a specific area. They will also determine how long they have to quarantine a specific area. So it can be from 21 days up to 6 months, depending on the area. Then Namibia's got game fences. So a certain part of the country of Namibia is zoned off from others. So you can immediately think, if you have to quarantine further, you quarantine the game fence. But the problem then is, if the game fences are not sufficient, you are going to quarantine the entire country. So, but you can basically look at this, and you'll see you've got your initial conditions, your focal point, and then you can go and trace back and trace forward the different resources, and then eliminate the outbreak. You can stop it from spreading by looking at the outbreak of the spreading patterns of that animal. Okay, so in terms of disease control, they've got four different things that they can use. The first one is export zones with vaccination. So they will make sure that animals are dipped, they've got the necessary vaccinations, and that they are in specific export zones. The other one is called compartmentalization. Now this is a big problem for the northern communal areas, because compartmentalization says that you have to have certain animals in certain areas camped off. Now the northern communal areas have free grazing animals, so you can't really enforce that in the northern communal areas. And another thing that people often fear, and you can see why, is commodity-based trade. Like I said, with mad cow disease, the government said to the people, it's safe. Don't worry about our meat, it's safe, you can eat it. And later on they've got Postgraduate disease. But in terms of commodity trade, they say foot and mouth disease are not dangerous. It's not infected for humans, it's safe for human consumption. It's not safe for export. Europe does not want that meat. But if they can get that meat to the local people, they can supply with commodity-based trade. And also, they can manage that for people to eat locally. So what am I doing? I'm actually building an impact assessment framework to create a new framework in terms of looking specifically at communal farmers. I'm working with a case study, I've got interviews, and my questionnaires will be distributed sometime in August. So what I'm trying to contribute is an in-depth knowledge of impact on communal farmers and what role they can play in managing disease outbreaks. Just to see, how far can we go? Is it really relevant? Is it really creating impact? And then finally concluding, often I've heard this morning again, is that often ICT4D projects are not sustainable. But what I want to say about traceability systems, it is hugely successful. It's used throughout Namibia. Every single animal is tagged, it's captured on the NAMLITS database, and it is made sure that it does get it's got the right prerequisites for traceability. It leads to growth in emerging economies. So Namibia can really benefit from that export. Communal farmers are now uniquely empowered. They now have the decision, do I rather want to keep my cattle for myself, or I have the option of being able to export that. And lastly, coming back to diseases, with traceability, we can 100% guarantee disease-free. This is just where you can find me.